And these were the Oasis Trailheads, the Coyotes, the Viair, SmittyBilt, and the ARB, the air deflator. And then we also tested what it takes to deflate with the inflator. Hi guys, this is Dean from 5150. Today we're going to do a tire deflator review. We got a bunch of different ones to test. Our goal in this is to see which one's the fastest. Fastest doesn't always mean the best, but in this case we're just going to see how long they take. So we're going to start with these. We're just going to use a standard air gauge. This is ones that you usually get any place. Tells you. But on the back it's got this little tit here that we'll stick inside the valve stem inside of the core and let air out. So that's one type. The next type we're going to be this one here. We can remove the core. Now this is going to be one of the fastest. The only problem with these is you don't want to lose your core because they will fly out and you can lose them. But just make sure if you do it this way that you bring extra cores. Another one is this Teraflex. This one here, this I only have 3, but you basically put these on each tire. You'll screw this on to the valve stem and it will deflate. I built these years ago, and this was kind of one of the popular things. You just get a valve chuck, put an air in there, and just put a nipple on the end. You put these around each tire, walk around, and let your air out of your tires. They're not super quick. This same type of thing. This is just an ARB kind of a chuck. Same type of thing. We're not going to test these two. I was just showing this for a review. But these 3 here, you need to take your tire pressure. You're going to have to, stop, check, stop, check. So this is Oasis, or Trailhead also makes them. We have Coyotes. So these are auto deflators that will stop at a preset PSI. So like on these Oasis here, you got an Allen wrench. You basically set what tire pressure you want, put this on your tire, and you have it stop at that tire pressure. Coyote is very similar. It's got a lock ring. So these here will stop whatever preset tire pressure that you adjust these to. So we have the Viair, we have a SmittyBilt, and then we have the ARB. The ARB and the SmittyBilt, these two, they got a very similar type device here on the bottom. So here, if you look inside there, this turns, and what we're going to do is take this, thread this onto the valve stem. This inserts your counterclockwise. You'll pull the valve stem out, and when you pull it out this way, pull this up, it will let air out, but it captures the Schrader valve so you don't lose it. Then you can check your tire pressure on here. So the ARB is digital, the SmittyBilt is a analog gauge, and then when you're done with it, you'll just turn it back, push it back in, turn the valve in, the Schrader valve, and lock it, and then you unscrew it. So these are all good ways to do it. It's all preference. Personally, I'm running the Oasis. I've had these for years. I believe they were bought by a company called Trailhead here several years ago, but I've had these since the early 2000s. And so what we're going to do, we're going to test each one of these, Patrick and I, and we'll take some, we will time this to see how fast it is and document it. And so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, guys, we have this MTR, Goodyear MTR. This is a 35-1250 by 17. You'll notice we have a rock underneath it. What we're going to try to show is why you want to lower your air pressure. It does several things. First thing, it cushions out the ride when you're going over a washboard if the roads are real rough. It does make it smoother. The second thing, it creates your contact pad for your tire. It will be longer and wider. So if you imagine that rock there, when we air this down, you're going to see the tire from front to back will increase in size, and then also in the front here it's going to get wider, so that simulates it getting a bigger tire. One of the disadvantages of airing down is you do lose ground clearance. So a lot of guys that run 60s, it doesn't make sense to have a Dana 60 and run 37s, because a 60 ring and pinion sticks down quite a bit, and 37s aren't that big for a 60, so we might as well jump right to 40s. All right, guys, we will be using the ARB digital tire inflator. This will be our baseline. So we're gonna, our tires, we're gonna start at 30 PSIs and take them down to 8.5 PSIs. This here will be our test on some of these, since they don't have a way to measure it. These ones do. But like when we pull the valve stem, we're gonna have to just check it several times. All right, guys, so let's go get this started. We are down usually around 8.5 PSIs, depending on which tires, but all our vehicles have bead locks. You'll notice that in this video. But if you don't have bead locks, you're not gonna wanna take it down to 8.5 PSIs. You'll need to test that, but some of the good recommendations is between 13 and 15 PSIs. The reason you don't wanna pop a bead. Bead locks lock the outer bead onto the rim. If you don't have bead locks, when you let air pressure out, the bead can pop. The first thing we're going to start with is just a standard air gauge. This one we got from a BFG booth. So Patrick's going to go ahead and he'll start the stopwatch, and we'll time to see how long it takes to take it from 30 pounds to 8.5. We're looking at the sidewall. You'll see it down here. We're looking for the bulb. See that rock? We'll probably check it about 1 minute and 30 seconds, see where it's at. All right, so there's 1:30. All right, so we're gonna use our ARB digital gauge. Looks like we're at 22 PSIs. Now you can see, you have to sit here. Luckily Patrick's in a chair. We're comfortable. We're in the garage. We're not on our knees in the hot sun. So when you do this with a gauge like this, you have to keep your hand on that Schrader valve to let air out. So it definitely works. Is it ideal? For some people it is, but it's a little more labor intensive and takes a little more time. And if you don't have any type of tire deflator, a stick works great. So right now we're at 3 minutes. Let's take another reading. 15. Okay, right now we're at 15.5, so we're going to continue. Okay, we're going to stop this at 420. Take another reading. So that's at 10.5. Okay, so we got to take it down another 2 pounds. Now when you notice, if you notice the tire down here, you can see how it's getting flatter on the bottom. So that's making our contact patch, which is what they call it, our tire, a bigger tire basically on the ground. So it's getting longer from back to front and wider from left to right, which makes a bigger contact, which gives you more traction. So we're going to take this down another 2 pounds. Okay, we're at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Now this isn't super accurate, guys, because we are stopping and starting, but we're trying to keep it just real world. All right, so it took 5 minutes and 10 seconds. We're at 8 pounds. Between 8.5, it's kind of fluctuating. So close enough. So if we have 4 tires, we have to do that for each tire. You know, we're over 20 minutes on each tire, but it works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and fill this back up to 30 pounds, and we're going to get the next deflator. All right, the next one we're going to do is we're just going to remove the valve core with the valve stem remover. So this is a very inexpensive way to do it. You can pick these up for a couple bucks. Only thing is you got to be careful because they can shoot out and you can lose your valve stem and you're in a world of hurt. Just make sure you carry extra valve stems. All right, Patrick's going to put this up at 30. There we go, we're at 30 PSI. All right, so this here is a valve core remover. You'll notice there's a slot on there. So let me show you what a valve core looks like. So this is a valve core, or they call it a Schrader valve. You'll notice it's spring loaded. When you push down on that, you can see that valve open up. That's how air gets put in. All right, so Patrick's going to go ahead and remove that. You'll notice this little flat spot on the valve, and we're going to remove it. All right, and here we go. Okay, there's 30 seconds, and we're at 15.5 pounds at 30 seconds.
there's about 56 seconds. And we're at 8 pounds. So at 55, 56 seconds, we can take that down to 8.5, 8 psi. So Pat just got to put that valve back in there. So you got to be kind of careful with the air pressure. They can blow out and you can lose them. But you can see that's extremely quick. It's a little riskier, but if you carry extra valves, not a bad way to go. So all right, we're going to go ahead and nail this back up to 30 psi's. Okay guys, we're at 30 psi's, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next deflator. We have an ARB air chuck that came with one of our kits. We'll go ahead and put that on there. It's an option. Basically, you're just going to snap that onto the valve stem, and we'll time it and see what it does. All right, 2 minutes. We're at 17 psi at 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to continue. Now you can see the tire is starting to get a bulge in the side. Again, you can see the tire getting wider from passenger side to driver side, and it's also getting longer from front to back. So it's making that contact patch much longer or much larger. Basically simulating you're getting a bigger tire. So here we are, about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, Patrick. We'll go ahead and check it. So we're at 11 pounds. All right. So we're at 4 minutes.
But you can walk away with that one.
Yeah, and what's like Patrick says, you can walk away this way and just, if you know it's going to take you 5 minutes, come back in 4 minutes and check it. With a stick or something like that, you got to stay there the whole time. All right, we're 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's check it. 8.5 pounds at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's about, 40 seconds faster than doing it with just by a twig or something. It's definitely a lot easier. You don't have to sit there and hold it on there. All right, we're going to go ahead and fill this back up to 30 psi's. All right, guys, we're at 30 psi's. Okay, this test is going to be the Teraflex Deflator. Again, this one here just lets out the pressure. We have to check it every time. And if I remember right, in this one, we have to pull it off too. We can't just stick the valve.
You can't just...
We just can't put the gauge on the end of it. It'd be kind of nice if we could push... Patrick will show you here in the video. It'd be nice if we could just put the air gauge on it like that and take a reading, but it doesn't work that way. So Patrick does go ahead and put this on, and we're going to take 8.5 psi's. Set this to 0. Okay, and there we go. Now, we're right there at 2 minutes. Patrick's going to go ahead and check the pressure. And looks like we're at 19 psi's. Okay, and that's at 2 minutes. So let's continue. Go ahead and check it. 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
10, 11.
Okay, we're at 11 psi's. All right, let's check it. So far this has been the slowest one. If it's 8.5 psi, so that was 5 minutes. All right, so the Teraflex has been the slowest. But remember, guys, you don't have to go out and buy the most expensive stuff when you're out wheeling or taking out your four-wheelers. It's about having fun and getting out there and having a good time. We're going to go ahead and air this up to 30 psi's. Okay, we're at 30 psi's. And Patrick's the next one. He's going to show it here. This is called the Oasis. This is a auto deflator. It will stop or whatever that you preset it to. Now this one you can put on all 4 wheels, and so this will increase your time because it will stop automatically at the pre-assigned PSIs. And so these are also called Trailheads. Oasis, I believe, was the original company, and then Trailhead bought it from Oasis. Again, like I've had these for 15 years or so. I've had several different colors. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this on, and we'll go ahead and start it. So with this one, you're going to hear it. It's going to go fast, and the tire is going to shut off by itself. So these are great. Now I can go to the second tire, put it on the third tire, and walk away. And then I can go bullshit with my friends.
Or take off sway bar links.
Or take off sway bar links to do whatever I need to.
Block your hugs.
As you can hear, it's letting out less and less air pressure. So we're coming up on 6 minutes. And we're at 8.5 pounds. Okay. You know, you can do all 4 at the same time. Let's go ahead and fill this back up. About 6 minutes. Slowest one so far, but you can do all 4 at the same time. All right, we're at 30 PSIs. And the next one we're going to do, Patrick will show this to you. This is a Coyote. This is also an auto deflator that will shut off automatically. You can see he's pulling on the spring. Similar idea as the Oasis or the Trailhead. It's spring loaded. You can set these you can set the PSIs, and once they're set, they're pretty accurate. Again, just screw it on the valve stem and walk away. All right, so Patrick's going to start the timer. And you can do all 4 of these at the same time. Okay, we're going to check it at 6 minutes. And there we go, we're at 8.5 pounds. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and air these up. Okay. All right, Patrick, kind of show how that works. So basically, see how you're pushing in that valve? When you push that in like that, it's screwed onto the Schrader valve and lets air out. And then when you unlock it, that stops the air from coming out of the valve stem. So let's go ahead, and he's going to screw this on. Okay, these aren't auto. This will not auto shut off, so you do got to monitor it. The last 3 or 4 that we're going to test are that way. So the only 2 that we have that auto shut off would be the Coyote and the Trailhead / Oasis. The other ones you have to manually check each time. There we go. You saw him turn that. And how many PSIs are we at? We're at 15 PSIs at 3 minutes, so let's continue. Okay guys, so we have this down. This is at 8 PSIs, and how long was it, Patrick? Okay guys, this is at 5 minutes and 31 seconds. This is the Viair. It's at 8.5 to 8 PSIs. And the next one we're going to do, guys, we're going to use the ARB, the one that Patrick has in his hands right there. You can deflate your tire with that. Okay, Patrick has that at 30 PSIs, and what he's going to do is he's just going to, there's a valve on the side, and hold that trigger down, and we'll go ahead and start that as soon as he hits the button. Okay. So again, this will work. You can have one inflator to air up the tire and one single deflator. Again, this will work. You just have to do it to each tire. All right, we're we're coming up on 5 minutes. There. And we're at 8.5 pounds. So we use the one tool that inflates and deflates. So it's a valid option. All right, so Pat's just go ahead and put this back to 30 PSIs.
30 PSIs.
Okay, so we're at 30 PSIs. So on this next deflator is going to be the SmittyBilt. We put a little WD-40, Pat's just kind of showing where we put it. We just put it on the valve there. They do get stiff and dirty a little bit. Okay, Pat's just going to show you how this works. That's going to screw into the tool. So Pat's just going to screw it in there.
Make sure yours.
So you pull out the plunger. He's screwing the valve. He's screwing the valve stem into the housing. He's going to push in on the tool, and you'll feel it lock in. And when it locks in, you're going to go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So you're going to turn it left, which is counterclockwise. That's going to pull out the Schrader valve. So when you pull it out, when it's under pressure, when you pull back,
when it's under pressure, it will push back.
pull that out, right? So that releases the valve or the Schrader valve.
And you can hear the Schrader valve in there. We could probably even just.
Yeah. So now we can show you what it looks like.
So that's just an empty hole.
Yeah. So here, if you look at this, the valve's not in there. He's got it in his hand, so that keeps it there all self-contained. And we'll go ahead and put that back in there. Yeah, you got to remember to screw it back in, or it's just like pulling the valve out. So then you lock it back in. You push down on it, and you righty-tighty. Remember that. That's clockwise, and that will screw the Schrader valve back into the valve stem. And you'll see when Patrick pulls this off, the valve stem will be, or the Schrader valve's inside the valve stem. And then there's the cap, just like that. Okay, so he's going to pull that out, and then he's going to reset the clock, and then we'll time it. So we're at about 1 minute and 10 seconds, and we're at what, 8 PSIs, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Minute 9. 1 minute and 9 seconds. So you can see that's pretty fast. The nice thing about this is instead of using just a valve stem remover, typically, most likely, you won't lose your valve stem.
Check the PSI.
So we'll check the PSIs here.
See how off the gauges.
And that's at 8.5. So the SmittyBilt and the ARB are 100. They're calibrated 100%. Again, I know a lot of people give SmittyBilt a bad name, but some of the stuff isn't bad. This is half the cost of some of the other ones on the market, and if you're on a budget, and it's a good valve.
It's great for someone that just wants to go have fun, that doesn't want to break the bank.
Yep. All right, so we're going to go ahead and air this back up to 30 PSIs. And our next one is going to be the ARB deflator. You're gonna, when we bring this out, you're going to notice it looks almost just like the gauge that the inflator uses.
So on these two, the gauges are pretty much identical.
Yep.
I'm sure they are the exact same gauge. The disadvantage with these, since they're digital, you should always carry some AAA batteries with you. That way, when they do go bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you have batteries, in case they go dead.
It looks, even down to the machining, they look identical. It's just the a SmittyBilt's a little bit stiffer. That could just be it hasn't been used very much. This one's, the ARB is brand new, but it's super smooth.
Right. And the ARB is a little more expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the concept's the same.
But like down to this where the seals are, the clips, they're the exact same ends. Right. Even the crimping is the same. It's like they use the same crimping tool.
Right. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the ARB. Now, again, like I said, I like the digital, so I'm a little more biased towards the ARB because it's digital. I have an idea these will kind of be about the same amount of time. We'll see. So, you know, in the minute and 20-second range. Okay. 8.5 PSI in 1 minute and 7 seconds.
All right, here is our final results. You can tell from the chart that removing the valve core is the fastest way to deflate your tires, and it's one of the cheapest. Remember, you just have to be careful not losing the valve core by when the air is being released from the tire, that it blows the valve out of your hand. Followed by the ARB deflator, which is also very quick, a lot safer than removing the valve core manually. Followed by the SmittyBilt, and then coming in with the 2 automatic deflators, which is the Oasis / 12 head and the Coyote. And then we just finish down through the charts.
All these work. Some are just faster than the others. Patrick and I kind of prefer using either the Oasis / Trailhead or the Coyotes, because you can put these on all 4 tires at the same time and walk away. All these other ones you have to kind of babysit, especially on these ones here. The Viair, the SmittyBilt, and the SmittyBilt and the ARB, they are pretty quick, about 1 minute each, so you can go around each tire and do that. So which one do you like the best, Patrick? You like the Coyotes the best? Yep. Well, we're at different opinions there. I actually like the Oasis better, but they're both nice. You'll be happy with any of these. Any of these deflators work. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching, and please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.